Welcome to the Creating and Controlling Virtual Machines module for Agility Platform. Today we'll use Agility Platform as an infrastructure management tool to create and start and examine a virtual machine. We'll start by logging into an Agility Platform instance that we have running right now. And we'll choose a user who has the ability to create virtual machines inside of projects. This admin user has the full rights to all the projects that are on this particular Agility platform. You would use a user that has rights to the particular project that you're looking to build virtual machines inside. We'll use the designer perspective, which will let us build virtual machines. And we'll start building a virtual machine by building what's called a template. Now, as you can see in this particular perspective, we can see a large number of projects that have been pre-built for us. I'm interested today in Project Freebird that has development, production, and testing environments inside it. And I'm going to go straight for the production environment and build a virtual machine there. And it's as simple as selecting that environment, choosing Create New, and choosing Create New Template. Now what presented here is a virtual machine template, so we'll give it a name and a description if we so desire. And then underneath that are a collection of stacks. Stacks are descriptions that point to images on each cloud provider. That stack is not an OS image itself, it's a pointer to one or more images that live on a cloud provider, a public or a private cloud provider. I'm going to give this a name and I'm going to choose that Red Hat 5.8 and then I choose Next, and at this point Agility Platform goes and looks for all of the cloud providers that have an image that corresponds to that stack. And it came back with one, my TES North Cal cloud provider, which is an AWS cloud provider, and now I've already chosen that, obviously by default. Now I can choose which location I'm going to run it in, 1B. Now I need to choose an SSH key to connect to that Linux instance. Right now I've got this APX test 01 key built. We're going to use that. That will enable Agility Platform to actually talk to the running virtual machine and add scripts, run packages, or whatever you want to on the resultant guest VM. If we take a look at that key, we can see that in plain text it always has to begin with begin RSA private key and end with end RSA private key with the 5 dashes on each side. That's important to look at if you ever have any questions about whether or not your key is good or not. That key is attached to the cloud provider, not to the template. I'm just saying which cloud provider key I'm going to use. I could give it a host name prefix if I so desired. I could start multiple instances of this VM if I wanted to. If your cloud provider supports multiple network adapters, then I could actually choose which network adapter I'm going to use, and I can choose which size hardware I'm going to use. For this one, I'm going to use the micro instance, 2 processors and about 600 megabytes worth of memory. And at this point, I've chosen the size of the virtual machine that's going to run as well as the OS image. Now I need to choose how I'm going to attach to it. I have a set of firewall rules on the left that I could deploy to this particular template, and then when that virtual machine starts. This project has already enforced 2 separate sets of firewall rules, which you can see the BizCloud pieces there. I'm particularly interested today in the SSH firewall. I want to make sure that I can actually SSH into that machine when it starts up, and I can see that that port 22 is open, so I'm good there. If I wanted to tune this, obviously I could. So we'll say Next. And at this point, if I wanted to add a volume to this template so that when the virtual machine comes up it has more storage, I could. If I wanted to add pre-built packages, I could do it as well. Agility Platform has packages that you can insert so that the virtual machine will run those either at start or at the user command, and I can choose any one of those. And you can see we have Trend Micro Deep Security added, we've got MySQL, we've got IBM's patching client as well. For the purpose of this demo, I'm not going to choose any extra packages. If I chose, I could take a look at configuration management resources to actually tune it as that virtual machine came up. If I wanted to actually issue variables so that running scripts or scripts that are that were running on the guest VM itself could access those, I could. And I could also set properties such as which storage tier I want to run for this particular cloud provider, bronze, silver, or gold. I can choose which security zone as well. The thing to remember here is most of the time when dealing with Agility Platform, these choices will have been made for you by a policy or others' constraints. With this particular method, we have full control over what's available to us and how that virtual machine is going to come up, where it's going to run, what it's got in it, what size it is. And once we're done with this, then this is now what's called a template that's built inside an environment, inside a project. That name is Yavis. I can see when it was created, who created it, and it exists, and you can see that the symbol next to Yavis is a Amazon AWS. So I can tell already where it's going to run. In order to start the virtual machine attached to the template, I start the virtual machine. I choose Start. It's going to ask me, are you sure you want to start all of the virtual machines attached to this template? And I say yes. And immediately the task list pops up, and it says I'm starting a virtual machine. And underneath that template, I can see the running instance or the actual virtual machine itself. And as this is being brought out by the cloud provider, Agility Platform will receive more information about it. So we have to wait a little bit while it actually changes from state starting to state running, and then we'll get all the information that we need. Now, as you can see, we've transitioned from the starting state to the running state, and we have a fully populated virtual machine. You can see on the task list that it completed the start successfully, that I can see inside the definition of the virtual machine how much memory, how much processor, what its public and private IPs are, if that's supported by your cloud provider, and what its actual host name is. Now, if I want to work with that virtual machine, actually attached to it, what I'll need is an account to get into it. Under Instance Properties, I can choose View or Edit Keys, and I can see the SSH key that's actually being used to connect to that virtual machine. I can also see the SM admin account that exists on that virtual machine and the password that was changed at virtual machine start. If I want to see that password, I choose Show Value. I'll zoom back in, and you can see it's a long string of characters. I'll need to save that in case I need to connect to it, or copy it at least. Now, if I wanted to attach to that virtual machine and do some work with it, I could use the console built into Agility Platform. I could also use a proxy server like Guacamole, or I could just simply open up a standalone SSH client and attach to it directly. I know what the IP address is, and I can place that here, and then I can open it up. And we'll log in with the SM admin account, and we'll give it the password that we copied earlier, and we're in. We're running a bash prompt on a Linux machine. I can issue hostname commands. We're live on that machine, and anything I want to do, like reconfiguration or add software or configure applications on that machine, I can. And when I'm done with that virtual machine, if I want to actually destroy it, I can choose Release. And the release will actually give me a confirmation. Are you absolutely certain you want to do this? Because this will destroy the virtual machine, not just shut it down. If I wanted to shut it down, I could choose Shutdown, or Stop, actually. This will actually release it, which means it will get rid of all the existing definition. And then you can restart the virtual machine if you want, or you could have deleted the template if you so desired. And we see that the release for Yavis is pending right now. That's the top one. And now it's done. If I wanted to restart that Yavis template, turn it into a virtual machine on that cloud provider, I could. And that's starting a template, actually running a virtual machine. Thanks for attending. If you'd like to see further videos, you can look us up at our SharePoint site on Cloud Training. If you'd like to attend further training, visit our aptraining.csc.com site. And if you have any questions, please contact us at training@servicemesh.com.